Recently, This Is America and the World visited the Republic of Uzbekistan. It's a beautiful country, rich in Silk Road history and culture, the crossroads of civilization where East meets West, and 300 days of sunshine a year. It's an important country in Central Asia. Borders are open with neighboring countries. There's new construction everywhere, and freedom of speech, religion, and the press are all front and center. Today, under the leadership of its president, Shavkat Mirziyoyev, it's a country on the move. They call it the new Uzbekistan. It's a young country, this year celebrating its 30th anniversary of independence from the Soviet Union, with a young population, 35 million people, 60% under 30 years old. The people of Uzbekistan are friendly and welcoming, and their gesture of hello, goodbye, with the hand over the heart, says it all. On this program, we'll visit the Embassy of Uzbekistan and meet with its ambassador, who represents the Republic of Uzbekistan to the United States and Canada. This is America and the World visits the Republic of Uzbekistan. Underwriting for This is America and the World is made possible by the Japan-America Society of Washington, D.C., the Republic of Uzbekistan, the Sultanate of Oman, the Kingdom of Morocco, the National Association for Children of Addiction, Faces and Voices of Recovery, the Forerunner Foundation, the Rotondaro Family Trust, and the Embassy Series, Uniting People Through Musical Diplomacy. At the Embassy of Uzbekistan in Washington, I met with Ambassador Javlon Vakhabov, who offers us a general overview of his unique and important country in Central Asia. Ambassador, thank you for your hospitality. Good to be with you once again.
You are welcome.
Tell our viewers three things we should know about Uzbekistan.
So as you may know, Uzbekistan is mostly known as a cradle of civilizations, aged more than 3,000 years, and a crossroad of the Great Silk Road. And actually, Uzbekistan is very uniquely positioned, I would say. It's located in the heart of Central Asia, I would say in the heart of the entire Eurasia. And easy to find on the map. So thirdly, so by the way, we are facing the 30th anniversary of Uzbekistan's independence. So we are almost 30 years old. And since 1991, so the population of the country grew up from 21 to 34 million people.
Wow.
And nowadays, so Uzbekistan remains the most populous nation in the region, actually creating almost half of the Central Asian population, I would say.
You inserted the word map into our conversation. Let us put a map on the screen as you're talking, and tell us a little bit about the countries in the neighborhood.
Uzbekistan is the only country in the region that is surrounded by all Central Asian nations. So Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and Turkmenistan.
You mentioned culture, history, the Silk Road. Boy, if you want culture, Uzbekistan is the place to go, huh?
I would say Uzbekistan is a must-visit place. So as you may know, just prior to the pandemic in 2019, so the New York Times has listed Uzbekistan as a must-visit place, having included the country into the list of 52 nations that should be visited by every single reader of this American newspaper.
Samarkand. I had the honor, privilege, the enjoyment of going there. The cultural sites there are just dazzling. Paint a little picture just of that city.
So I've been to Samarkand several times. The city that used to be the first capital of Uzbekistan. The city that is also known as the UNESCO World Heritage listed centuries-old city that is aged almost 3,000 years. Samarkand, actually, it was the key town in the past that had been serving as a crossroad of the Great Silk Road. So the towns that had been influenced by so many cultures, by so many nations. The place actually that the great Tamerlane has named it as a capital of his empire.
In Samarkand, I visited the tomb of Tamerlane. He's also known as Amir Timur, and he created one of the largest empires in the world.
This beautiful place is a family burial vault of great ruler Amir Timur and his family. Speaking about Amir Timur, he is one of the most significant persons in the history of Uzbekistan and Central Asia because he was the creator of one of the biggest empires in the world. And under his reign, Samarkand achieved the peak of its development because his empire was the oriental center of arts, science, music, culture, and a lot of travelers, a lot of scientists, scholars, poets, musicians, they were dreaming at last one in their lifetime to see the capital of Timur's empire with their own eyes.
You used the word empire.
Yeah.
How big was the empire?
Actually, you know, Amir Timur ruled the country for 35 years. And during that period, he committed 18 big military campaigns. And he really conquered half of the world. And his empire spread from India to modern Turkey. And Samarkand was his capital.
And what period of time are we talking about?
It was the end of the 14th and the beginning of the 15th century.
So we are in Samarkand.
We are in Samarkand.
And that was headquarters?
Yes.
Capital city?
That was the capital city, and that was a special ambition of Amir Timur. He wanted Samarkand to eclipse all the capitals of the world in its splendor, beauty, dimensions, and luxury. And Samarkand was really one of the best, most romantic, most developed cities of the world of that time.
I would be remiss if I didn't take advantage of your pronouncing correctly for us the name of the president.
His first name is Shavkat.
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 Yep.
His last name is Mirziyoyev.
Mirziyoyev.
Yes.
Shavkat.
Shavkat Mirziyoyev.
Mirziyoyev. Difficult sometimes for Americans to get a hold of that. Tell us a little bit about your president, who's been in office now for about 4 years and will come up for a re-election in the fall. He is really pulling out all the stops, as we would say in America, to modernize the country and offer reforms that are almost unheard of.
Actually, I was fortunate to serve under his leadership when he had been working as a Prime Minister of Uzbekistan for more than 13 years. Actually, this person, I would say, knows well the people's needs, and moreover, he knows well how to address these needs. So in these terms, in this regard, so his reform agenda so is very much supported by the people, and the reason why he remains very popular in Uzbekistan. And over the last 5 years, so the president has introduced his own strategy on further development of Uzbekistan. And actually his reform agenda is organized around solid objectives that his administration is going to achieve. And these objectives are very clear and very simple: to provide good governance, to ensure the rule of law, to liberalize the economy, to conduct good neighborliness policy in the region of Central Asia, to promote very constructive, very reliable foreign policy towards other major players in the region and far beyond. So actually these are the key pillars of his strategy, and over the last years I should underscore that his administration was able to do so much accomplishments. So in particular, we've actually totally eradicated the use of forced labor in the cotton field. So the foreign journalists were allowed to come to Uzbekistan and to work in the country without any restrictions. So this administration has registered at least 5 US non-governmental organizations that never seen before. So this most notorious prison has been closed by the president. And as you may know, thousands of Uzbekistan people were removed from the law enforcement's blacklists. And most of them have been pardoned by this president, again, never seen before, prior to 2016, before he actually was elected.
Modernization, physically, I mean, there's construction everywhere. But what is important to me and to us, freedom of speech, freedom of protest, freedom of the press, all now in play, encouraged. I like the idea that every single ministry is tasked, if I could use that word, to get citizen input, which I think is absolutely terrific. We should have that here. Also, let's put on the table human rights, because we have our own problems here. I think every country does. What's being done in that direction? Okay, because that's important to us, to have you weigh in on that.
By the way, ensuring human rights in the country has been outlined by the strategy on further development of Uzbekistan, and from the very beginning of his tenure, so the president and his administration took it very seriously. We've completely ended the use of child labor in the cotton fields in Uzbekistan. And by the way, this accomplishment was warmly welcomed by the international labor organizations, and even recognized in particular by the US government. So we've made significant progress towards eliminating the use of forced labor. In particular, last year, the International Labour Organization found, just imagine, 96% of all the cotton fields in the country free from forced labor. With respect to ending corruption, that remains a hot topic in the country, and a very tough issue to address, I would say. And by the way, the president, right after he took his office, the first law he signed was the anti-corruption law. Again, that demonstrated to the entire world how we took it very seriously, how we in particular, this government remains very much committed to eradicating corruption in the country. So another achievement that I would like to point out is mostly related to ensuring religious freedom in the country.
Yes.
As I mentioned, more than 20,000 Uzbekistanis have been removed from the so-called blacklists. And even most of them have gone through the government-led rehabilitation programs. Thousands of people have been pardoned by the president. So the authorities that actually the constitution of Uzbekistan gives, but never used before.
I spoke with the Minister of Justice about new freedoms and human rights. Gender equality.
Gender equality is a priority sphere for reforming and the public policy in Uzbekistan. The president, Mirziyoyev, has made this topic is one of the priorities for his reform agenda. And the new two laws have been passed. First is on gender equality, and then second on protection of women's rights. So two separate legal acts have been passed by the parliament to, so that we have bigger institutional basis to protect the rights of the women. Because we do have traditions when the men don't want their women to have active position in society, to work in the organizations, but this traditional approach is being changed now. It's a modern society. It's a 21st century, and Uzbekistan is a secular state. That's why we're engaging more and more women to become new leaders of organizations. And even in the Ministry of Justice, we have 5 to 6 heads of the departments. They are women. It hasn't been like that before. Only one, maximum 1 or 2. Now we have more than 5 to 6 heads of the departments, central departments in the Ministry of Justice. And it's a holistic approach around the society where the local level, on the Republican level, and the women themselves are organizing themselves and becoming a really good force, and they're pushing forward more and more reforms so that we give opportunities for women. And even in the parliament, any party who nominates the candidates of the members of the parliament, 30% of their candidates should be women. It's a compulsory.
What drives the economy of Uzbekistan, and how important is foreign investment?
From the very beginning, this government has been paying very much attention to diversifying of the Uzbekistan economy. So if you look at the structure of the national economy, nowadays, the entire economy is shared by service, almost 35%, agriculture, 32%, industries, that is more than 26%, and others. And among them, I would like to underscore how we are currently very much focused on a very untapped sector of our economy, that is tourism. Just imagine, prior to the pandemic, we've hosted in Uzbekistan almost 8 million foreign tourists. And of course, it brought the revenues to the national budget, to our people, and their well-being, their prosperity. And again, it happened thanks to those unthinkable measures, steps that have been taken by the government. In particular, thanks to this good neighborliness policy that this administration has announced in 2016. Since that time, we've actually resolved all disputable issues, issues that actually were hindering the flow of foreign investments to the region. and Uzbekistan in particular. So we've been able to find out the most appropriate solutions to the water resources management issues. So we've actually settled the border disputes. So doing business, doing trade in the region is getting much easier.
What do you see as your role here as ambassador? And I'll weave into that, what do you want from the United States? What do you expect from the United States? What do you need from the United States? Big question.
And I would say not so easy to respond. You know, the country that is actually currently rebuilding its economy is lacking. So the advanced technologies, the best expertise, new knowledges that the US government might share with Uzbekistan, and not only the US government, but even the US businesses that are looking at this untapped emerging market in that part of the world. And I should also note that over the last years, more than 40 American cutting-edge companies have been expanding their presence in Uzbekistan, in the Uzbekistan market.
One of the earliest American investors in Uzbekistan was General Motors. We visited UZAuto to understand GM's past impact and current alliance.
So the plant was basically, the company was founded in 2009, in January 2009, between two companies, UZAuto and General Motors Corporation. We're part of General Motors Corporation, GM Powertrain.
Still now?
Now we changed, it was a joint venture.
Yes.
So from joint venture corporation, we switched to Alliance.
Alliance.
Alliance, yes. Yeah. So we're working as an Alliance company. So we're still producing GM licensed product to GM cars, which are in Osaka. It's just the ownership changed, but we're still cooperating. So we still have expats working from General Motors here at our plant, in the manufacturing, in the quality departments. So
they still have input here.
Right. So right now we employ 1,044 employees at this plant. We work 2 shifts, 11 hours. Last year we produced 222,000 engines. 222,000. So we are right at our capacity. This plant is able to produce 225,000 engines per year. So the high demand for vehicles here locally and in our exporting markets, allowed us to work at the capacity.
I should mention, General Electric that supplies to the Uzbekistan thermal power stations, these huge turbines. Caterpillar that is very much engaged in the mining sector. So John Deere that is very much supportive of my government's reform in the ag sector. So Boeing, as you may know, the company, the US company, that has been serving as a strategic partner of the Uzbekistan government over the last 20 years, more than 20 years. And by the way, so this company has been supplying to Uzbekistan these aircrafts. And by the way, we've just recently delivered one of those 787 Dreamliners that we purchased just a few years ago. And all of them, by the way, are carrying out the direct flights between Tashkent and New York. And by the way, Uzbekistan remains the only country in the region that operates these direct flights, just connecting our two great nations.
Wonderful. Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for our conversation.
Thank you.
And for facilitating our trip to Uzbekistan.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hotel accommodations provided by the Hilton, Tashkent City. For information about This is America and the World, visit our website, thisisamerica.net, or our YouTube channel, This is America TV, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Underwriting for This is America and the World is made possible by the Japan-America Society of Washington, D.C., the Republic of Uzbekistan, the Sultanate of Oman, the Kingdom of Morocco, the National Association for Children of Addiction, Faces and Voices of Recovery, the Forerunner Foundation, the Rotondaro Family Trust, and the Embassy Series, uniting people through musical diplomacy.